Hey everyone, thank you for joining me. I'm here today at the place that I fixed up. That used to be the family land, now it's back being family land. That's where the tiny house is going to go. So this is the first time I'm seeing this at a time when it's been cleared out, when stuff is all starting to grow again. Also, a couple months ago, bush hogged everything. Let's take a look at the bush hog. It's kind of wild. I bought this whole place to kind of get it back into the family, and I barely get to see it at all. I live about 45 minutes from here, and especially here lately with all the junk that's going on, hadn't really been able to come down and do stuff. I've just been too busy figuring out some different things, so it's really nice to be down here. So there's a full 360. So again, property line goes up in that little hollowed out area you see over there. There's the house, and then goes back in the woods that way. And then, I don't know if you can see it, let me see where my finger is in the picture. There's a tree over here. That's sort of I guess, close to the line. This pole, and then there's a pole way down there. So it's a big triangle. Here's the old bush hog. Gotta watch out. Tons of poison ivy. I'm gonna start trying to take care of that. Get it sprayed. I know anytime you talk about spraying poison ivy, everybody starts getting crazy. But I mean, it's bad. This whole field is just loaded with it. You know, here it is growing up this pole right here. Those little oily leaves are starting to come on. So here's the bush hog. This is a house brand, 7 feet wide, 3-point lift, and it worked beautifully. It really did. I paid $800 for this. I don't know if I already put the video up on that. I think I filmed some stuff, so I'm going to start trying to get down here more often and doing some stuff. I don't even care if the videos are boring. I'm putting them up. I just want to get down here and do some stuff and make some videos. Oh, look at that bad boy. Through the hole there. He's dug in. He's digging so hard he's throwing dirt up on this. He can do what he wants. I don't care. Got all this firewood, so those different trees laying out there, I'm going to keep cutting that up, stacking that under here, and then that pile right there, that's just going to get burned. Maybe I'll set that on fire today. Probably a bad idea, but I might do it. I was kind of bummed out. I was hoping the grass would be taller. I'd bush hog it again. It would look good to buzz over it, but certainly not going to do it when it's looking this good. It'd be a waste of time just to knock 6 inches off of it. I like having this little spot to park this. Keeps it nice and dry. I just made sure got all the grass off of it because, you know, wind can drive the rain under here. And then you end up with a bunch of stuff on top of your bush hog rusting it out. You can see right here where they were doing that. Probably just from not cleaning it off. No big deal though. It's a pretty heavy gauged bush hog. Did some different welding repair on this. So this whole seam right here was popped loose somehow. Got that welded back in. And then, what else? Welded, oh yeah, I had to weld a little bit down right here on there. And then on this back corner, I hit something really hard and knocked this whole, backed into something really hard, knocked this in. This seam right here had already been separated from when I bought it. Obviously it was a used bush hog. And so I had to do a ton of stuff to get this pulled back out. The metal is not super thick, but I mean it's just so springy. I don't know what that is, high tensile strength or whatever, I don't know. But it is really hard to bend it and it stay in that position. So I had to weld up a tool to be able to kind of slip up onto that lip to bend that out. And it had a really long handle by someone pulled on it standing on top of the bush hog, and then I was able to weld this back into place. But $800 for this bush hog, I mean, that was amazing. I loved that deal. Very pleased with it. I'll show you poison ivy. Not everybody watching my videos is living in places where the different plants and stuff that I mentioned. Yeah, I mean, it's everywhere. You know, there it is right there. Those little red leaves. It turns a different color. really turn green, but you know, there it is. Probably can't see a lot of this stuff, but I mean, it's loaded in this field. Now, what you could do, what's it called? 2,4-D. You could 2,4-D the whole field, and it's I guess a broadleaf killer, so we just kill everything but the grass. Yeah, and again, I know people hear you talking about that, but you know, what are you going to do? Not going to put goats in the field, plus they were just not going to kill it. You know, it'd be nice to get the whole field under control to where you could walk around in it. Because, I mean, I'm talking, this stuff will be as tall as this grass, and it is just, the ground is crawling with it. I don't want that. Let's go look at the tiny house spot. I think when I did my last video that I showed this spot, I ended up doing some work afterwards. And so it's much more clear afterwards. I did something, and never mind, I'm rambling. Let me just show you. I think I ended the video, I was clearing up this, there's a barbed wire fence that ran straight through here, and so it was just a line of trees basically, and then a bunch of shrubby stuff, and then dead trees falling all over the place. So pretty much from right around in, you know, all this, and then kind of a line coming like this was completely just, it was inaccessible. I mean, it was almost like over here, but it was much worse, real thick. So I was able to get in here and really clear it out. So it's cool seeing this. You know, it's kind of holding up pretty good. I mean, all this is just little weedy stuff. Be easy to deal with. So again, tiny house, I imagine, going somewhere right around in here. But then I had a friend here not too long ago, and he was saying that with my plans, with my building, you know, I want to do the addition coming off of both sides, and I want access to the back and a lean-to coming off the back of that building, that it'd probably be good to leave this area open for bringing a kind of a, you know, truck or tractor in and out of here. But I think I could probably still put it in here. Let me back up and show you the angle. This is going to be a long, just kind of rambling video, so if you're not into this, just do something different. So basically, I think I could tuck the tiny house right up in here, and it would come to about there, and be kind of close tucked into this little cherry tree, and there'd still be room to come in. Plus, you know, the tiny house is on a trailer. If I don't like it there, I could shift it over into this spot. But for some reason, I just had it in my head to be here. But my friend also said that if I put it over here, sort of in this area between the tiny house and this other stuff over here, would sort of become, you know, you're sort of boxing it in as sort of the area that you do things in. So a play area, picnic type area, and whatnot. And then, you know, the view is still the same regardless. And I'm of course going to try to make everything look better. You know, that of course is going to look much better. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this yet. But I don't want to let, you know, the saying perfect be the enemy of good. You don't want to let that happen. So I'm not going to worry about everything being perfect. I just want to, it's more important for me to kind of get this whole thing going than it is for it to just be some fantasy land that, you know, stays a fantasy. So this is as far as I've kind of cleared. Now what I have been doing is all of these stumps sticking up are just pine trees, and so all the trees are been, you know, kind of leaning over where I want my tiny house. Also, these trees here in the way of that little extension, plus they're just spindly pine trees. And I avoid cutting trees down as much as I can because you can't put them back quickly. But you know, pine trees, they get blown over pretty easily, so I don't want every once in a while a tree snapping over, falling on my stuff. So I think I'm going to pretty much get rid of all of these trees, and I'll probably end up using some of the wood for building some stuff. My other thing I really wanted to do would be to have the tiny house here, or wherever, and then I wanted another spot to be like a little camper place. I have a friend that has a camper, so when he comes and visits with his family, I want him to be able to back it in and, you know, have the tiny house and the camper side by side, and in your little area set up, you do stuff. But then somewhere back in here, I want to do like a little micro cabin. So something like 10 by 10 or 12 by 12, or no bigger than like 16 probably feet square. But I just want to do a real small little traditional cabin. I don't know if it's really going to be a straight up log cabin or just something kind of made up out of some rough frame lumber and board and batten the outside. I like that style of construction too, and it'd really be nice to put a tiny little fireplace in it with a chimney and make it all out of the materials from this area. That could mean that I chainsaw mill all the lumber, find the rocks, whatever I do, and build some little rock foundation. It'd be nothing with electricity, no water. I mean, I guess you could wire it and then run it off a generator, and of course I'll have electricity for this stuff over here, so you could have like an extension cord run over to it just to power some little lights if you wanted. But I just thought it'd be kind of a cool little cabin. Do some writing in my books that I do, just whatever, just a place that someone can stay. But despite being right beside a house and some other stuff, I just wanted it. And this would actually be a great little place to tuck it in. That is a cherry tree. What is this? This is a what do you call it? Mimosa tree. It's a huge one. It's a little maple tree right here, another cherry tree. So there's not much going on. There's just these few little willow oak saplings basically that would get to be cut down. Otherwise, these aren't like big scary trees, so you could tuck that little cabin right in here, and I think it'd be cute, and it would be a fun thing because the tiny house is not big enough to have anyone extra, in. It would just be me and my family. The camper spot is for only someone that has something like a camper, which my one friend is the only one that has one. So for my wife's family or whoever, any other friend that I may develop in the future, I basically just have one friend, and he's the one with the camper. But so this little cabin would just be sort of an option. And my fantasy, which I'm sure a lot of people, or maybe one or two at most, maybe, when this is turned into a wood shop with that hand tool kind of wood shop and a general shop and then a automotive shop, I'm going to have a lot of capability down here, plus the land, and then we have all the land on the other side of the road. It's quite a bit. It should be a lot of fun options down here. And I fantasize about doing something where I teach different classes or do some sort of courses, or even just not even specifically like I know how to do something I'm going to teach you, but let's do this type of project together. So like activity weekends or a week where people come down, and I don't know if I would kind of introduce that to my YouTube channel, but I know people are always asking where I live. I live close to a lot of you, is the answer. I just don't get into it just for privacy reasons. I'm already on the internet, so I just kind of have fun making my videos, but that's sort of my personal limit. Some people like to tell you their address and accept gifts in the mail. I'm not. I don't need any gifts, and where I'm at, I don't think it really matters. You can see where I'm at. I'm in the east. I'm in the East Coast. Look at all the trees, the type of land. So there's only a handful of states that I can be from where it looks like this. So I'm in proximity to people I think that would enjoy coming and doing some stuff, is the long and the short of it. So one of my things I am absolutely most excited about being down here today is right inside this building. Having fun doing this video. Poor neglected tractor. It's got spider webs in the bucket. But I got a lot of stuff I wanted just to look at today. Got to start this up. May even have to jump start it. Who knows? Last time it kind of started a little slow, but it was really cold. But got to get my rails for my chainsaw mill in town where I live. I own some woods there behind my house. And so I've made some little trails and stuff, and I kind of want to build a few little tiny things down there to store firewood under, and maybe even like a little outhouse or something just for my wife and friend's wife and my wife's sister to pee in privacy when we're kind of down there in a little campsite I'm putting together. So I might mill up some rough sawn lumber for doing some of that. Also did some chainsaw wood shingles, experimenting with that. And that turned out pretty cool. So I'm going to do some more of that, and I want to make some of these little structures and shingle them with some wood shingles that I've made. So let's start this tractor up. See if there's anything up on it that's gonna bite me and kill me. What a shame. Spider webs all over the steering wheel. Alright. Halfway down here I got nervous that I forgot the key to this thing. But my parents live across the road and I keep an extra key for the tractor there. Let's see what happens. This will be very anticlimactic. I think it's going to start. Love the way it smells. If I stay in this barn long enough, uh-oh. That's the first time it's ever turned off like that. Alright, I'll figure that out. We'll come back to the tractor. Let's go take a look at the wood supply. Sometimes people like to ask about a follow-up on the wood. I don't know why the tractor turned off. It does have fuel in it right now. I usually like to try to take a look at my wood every time I come down here. Make sure the tin hasn't blown off. This is all roofing tin that came from a junkyard. So this is the big oak tree that I milled up, and I get a lot of questions continually on this video. This video is a very popular video, milling up this big white oak tree. So the saw I'm using, get asked about that all the time. It's a 1960 Steel 090 chainsaw in a Granberg Alaskan mill. I'm using 404 pitch chain. It's Granberg ripping chain. The little winch that I have attached to it was just a cheap winch off of Amazon, and I think that's about it. Other than that, it's hard work, but it is an inexpensive mill for, you know, in comparison to other mills that could mill that wide. So I think my whole setup is $2,000 to $3,000, something like that. The saw's about $2,000. No, more than that, about $3,000 or $4,000. But you know, if you have a like a bandsaw mill that can cut something 60 inches wide or however wide my mill can cut, that is a very expensive mill, and especially if you get up into having hydraulics on it. Of course, you can build your own thing, but the advantage of, you know, when I'm milling something like that up, I just now have the tractor, but the tractor's here. Most of where I'm getting all my wood is in the city, and I don't have a way of moving my tractor around. It stays down here to do stuff down here. So I have to mill this stuff up where it sits to even be able to move it, because I mean, this tree was 45, I think, feet long, and the biggest dimension on it was like 50 some inches diameter. Cutting through the crotch, everything else was about 3 feet and up. So you know, that's the only way I have to actually move something. So here is the pine. So it's starting to weather out some. I know you can't see the colors probably too good, but it's starting to blue stain and get a little dark looking. Now this is just the top. The stuff in the stuff that's still protected is pretty much fine. You can see where it's starting to get a little mold and mildew, or whichever one it is. I want it to do this. I know that may confuse people, but I want this stuff to kind of weather up. That's why it's not covered up. I'm going to get more of this stuff that I cover up and keep real clean, but I'll probably just wait to get all that later. This stuff is, I should have brought my moisture meter. I bet you, most of this has been here for months now. You know, it's been a little warmer for months. This stuff is probably close to being air dried, and air dried just means, you know, as dry as it can get for being outside in whatever your humidity level is. This is probably just super bright looking. This one's just wide out in the open in the sun. So you can see that that is, maybe you can, I don't know, let me put my shadow on it. Yeah, it's kind of graying up, but you know, if you flip it over, it looks pretty much like it did when I got it. But you give it enough time, this stuff will really take on some serious character. You get sticker stain from the stickers. I know all that sounds like but I am. I'm going for kind of trying to degrade the wood to a degree, but in a controlled way, to when I use it for farm tables in the future. It just has a nice weathered look without having to go through a bunch of trouble. So I'm just letting time work for me instead of me trying to faux finish every single tabletop. I'll just, and what I'm doing is I'm mimicking boards that I got in the past that were just stacked out in the open like this. Yeah, so I think that's all the rambling you need to hear right now. And I'm going to kind of get to fooling around with some stuff, and I'll turn the camera on if anything interesting pops up. Does getting my tractor started count as interesting? She fired right up. Just had to hold the key on for a second and start it up. When I started, I hadn't ran it in a couple months, and I had the throttle cranked all the way up. So it started as if I had it on a low throttle, and then it kind of went up real high, and then I brought it back down. I am not a diesel man. I do not know a lot about them at this point. So I'm not sure if you can flood a diesel the same way you can do stuff with, like, you know, carbureted gas stuff. You know, I don't know. I mean, it's, you know, I assume this is, I'm not going to embarrass myself talking about it, but, you know, it just turned off, but now it's turned right back on. Letting her warm up. I'm going to get some diesel put in there, and then I'm going to exercise it a little bit, which just means driving around hollering and stuff probably. But carry on. Here's a quick view of my Jeep. People seem to be interested in that. This is one of my projects I most wish I was working on. You can see that wheel underneath the Jeep, so that's the standard wheels for this Jeep. They actually came off of this one, and it's the reason I bought this Jeep. I'll also be taking the hubs off of it and some other stuff. But I also just bought a set of 5 of these rims. 2 brand new tires, 2 decent tires, and one's blown out. You can see I've got mismatched stuff going on, but then I've also got that Jeep trailer over here. So I want, you know, Jeep tires on that. I want a spare for the for this, a spare for this. You know, Jeep all the way around. There's the top. I know I'm showing some of the same stuff again, but I like looking at it again and again myself, so some of y'all might as well. Different parts from my Jeep over here. Yeah, can't wait to get to working on this again. I'm always thinking about it. I've done a lot of work on it already, as rough as it looks. You know, this whole back end has been reconstructed. That's a patch. The whole rear floor has been replaced. Stuff like right here, you know, all that's got to get finished, welded in and ground out. Need to put the floorboards in here. These fenders came off of that Jeep. The ones for this one are over there, and they're just totally rotten out. The engine on this thing, it does run, you know, did run at least. But it's been sitting like it's probably little acorns and mice going down in there. I might need to pop the top off and do some things. It's got a new suspension. I actually put a 2-inch lift on this Jeep. But replaced it with a heavier duty suspension. But you know, that was all when I was like 17 or 18 years old when I was doing all this. I'm no longer that old, that young. But Kind of wished I would have just left it alone until I really could get around it. But you never know when you're going to have time to do stuff. So it's the way it goes. Very excited about working on this building too. I've got to finish up all my projects. Once I get things finished up, I've got so much stuff that I'm looking forward to doing. It is killing me working on all the crap that I have to work on and it getting in the way of what I want to do. And I know people will say that's just the way life is. You have to work, you have to make your money. And I agree. Obviously, look at all the stuff I do. But I'm 33, for those that are wondering. People ask me sometimes how old I am. I feel like I was, 16 years old buying this Jeep yesterday. So that's half of my life ago now. So, it's a little disturbing, when you think about that kind of thing, how quickly it goes by. And in 16 years, I'll be, how old? 50-some years old or whatever it is. Yeah, pretty much. That's wild to me. I know there's people out there a lot older than 50 watching videos, but still, it just cruises on by, and every however many years it drops certain options that you have, or how easily you can do them yourself, or you may no longer be interested. So I'm trying to stay hot and heavy on getting to do some of the stuff that I really want to do. I feel like I've been doing what I have to do for a while now, and now I want to start kind of splitting things a little bit and doing more about what I want, and then trying to maybe make some money off of it along the way, but mainly just do it to have a good time. So moving along. As usual, my battery died, but I've got everything cleared up, and then used the tractor to push everything into a pile over here. See if I'm in. And so everything's in that pile. That pile will eventually be burned at the right time. Let it kind of dry up for a while. Plus, then I'll kind of let it rain, and that'll get everything else wet to where it's not dangerous to light this huge thing on fire. Might not look that big in that pile, but it's as tall as I am, and 12 feet in diameter, so that would just, that'd really go up, so you got to be careful. But it's not a bad time of the year to do it, as long as it's not windy. So what I'm doing now, get me a nice little stack of wood going. I need to finish stacking this up, and it should be done. Need to put the tractor away, and then I'm going to go do a few other things. I'll let the camera roll. Stable enough, weighs enough to where the wind's not going to blow it over, and looks cool in the meantime. about 6.5 feet tall or so. You can see this is all the stuff that I cut up today. So it's nice having everything all cleaned up now. Get the tractor put away and move along.